Hello, beautiful Aries souls, and welcome back to Astrology Unlocked. I am so grateful you've chosen to be here to bring your fiery, courageous heart to this space today. What you are about to hear is not just a horoscope, my friends. Think of it as a sacred mirror, a gentle unveiling of a truth the universe has been preparing your warrior spirit to finally receive. Are you ready to understand the divine purpose behind the battle you just endured? Now, if a significant relationship in your life came to an end this year, and your soul, despite its incredible strength, still feels the heat of that burn, know that this message arrives as a powerful confirmation, not a judgment. There is a sacred cosmic shift unfolding just for you, a karmic release wrapped not in sorrow, but in sovereign power. A moment where what felt like defeat is being transmuted into your greatest wisdom. If you are ready to claim this transformation, do me a favor right now and let me know you're here on this journey with us by typing "I am reclaiming my fire" in the comments below. And if you haven't already, please press that subscribe button. We are building a community of empowered souls here, and I want to make sure you never miss a single cosmic update designed to unlock your magnificent destiny. Thank you for allowing this moment to exist, not as mere content to be consumed, but as a sacred space, a cosmic bonfire, where something within you can finally truly exhale. There is a profound reason you were guided here, a reason these specific words found you at this exact moment. Because somewhere deep beneath the courageous clarity of your decision to walk away, something in your warrior's heart is still tender, still wondering why does it still ache if you know with every fiber of your being that you did the right thing, if ending that chapter was the correct, most logical decision, if you, the brave leader, walked away with honesty and a clear vision, if you knew in your very soul that staying would mean slowly, deliberately extinguishing your own brilliant flame, then why does this echo of pain remain? My dear Aries, this question does not arise from weakness. Oh no, it arises from the depths of your incredible power. It is the question of a soul that loves with the force of a supernova, that leads with its whole heart, that invests every ounce of its fire and does not retreat from a battle lightly. Pain does not mean you made a mistake. Pain is not the universe telling you that you failed. Pain for you is the echo of the battlefield. It is your body remembering the armor it had to wear. Your powerful nervous system, my friend, does not operate on logical conclusions or strategic victories. It doesn't understand timelines or who was right or wrong. It understands energy rhythm and the familiar cadence of a life it was fighting to protect. It remembers the scent, the sound, the very presence of the person who once stood beside you in the trenches of daily life. It remembers the routines that shaped your days, the silent agreements that structured your nights. It remembers the version of you that came alive while loving another human being. So when a relationship ends, even one that had become a battlefield of its own, your body does not immediately register peace. It first registers the deafening silence of absence. It mourns the loss of its post, its duty. It grieves for the life pattern it had learned with all its warrior strength to survive within. In so much of our culture, endings are incorrectly framed as failures. If a partnership didn't last forever, we're taught that it simply didn't work. If love faded, the story goes that someone somewhere must not have tried hard enough. Can you feel how that narrative quietly shames a soul like yours, an Aries soul, for choosing self-preservation, for honoring your limits, for having the immense courage to step away before your beautiful fiery spirit turned to bitter resentment? But the emotional truth, the cosmic truth, lives on an entirely different timeline. A relationship can be fundamentally misaligned with your soul's purpose and still feel deeply, profoundly bonded to your sense of identity. It can be wrong for the trailblazing future you are destined to create and still feel familiar and safe to your nervous system. These are not contradictions, my beautiful friends. They are layers of a complex and sacred truth. And Aries, you understand the call to action more than most. You don't just attach with your mind or your heart. You attach with your mission, your energy, your very life force. You lead, you protect, you ignite. But what happens when the person you are trying to lead will not follow? What happens when the flame you offer is met with resistance or worse, indifference? You, the great fire of the zodiac, begin a process that is so unnatural to your spirit, you begin to shrink. You dim your own light so as not to overwhelm. You soften your convictions to keep the peace. You tell yourself it is strategic patience, a tactical compromise. But your body, that magnificent vessel of truth, always remembers what your mind tries to justify away. And when you finally bravely walk away, your mind may feel a surge of clarity, a rush of relief, while your body is still catching up, still processing the long campaign it just endured. This is not a sign of confusion. This is integration. Not every pain is a problem to be solved, Aries. Some pain is not asking for a quick fix or another battle to fight. It is asking for its true meaning to be understood. Understanding your pain correctly is one of the highest forms of compassion you can offer your warrior soul. When pain is misunderstood, it festers and turns into shame. But when it is understood, it becomes pure information. It becomes your most trusted guide. Think of yourself, magnificent Aries, as the primordial fire. Fire is meant to expand, to illuminate, to lead the way out of darkness. It moves with purpose, with direction, with an unstoppable will. But what happens when you place a fire in a container that is too small, too restrictive? It consumes its own oxygen. It begins to choke on its own smoke. It stagnates. Your pain is not a punishment. It is the sacred oxygen returning to your soul. It is your life force beginning to circulate freely again in places where it had been compressed and contained. There is a divine intelligence behind this discomfort, a wisdom that doesn't scream orders, but whispers with unwavering certainty. It says, there was a part of you, a core of your fiery being, that refused to keep disappearing. A part of you that knew deep down that love should not demand the constant surrender of your own power. The universe does not always remove our pain in an instant. Sometimes it allows the ache to remain just long enough for you to recognize the true shape of your own spirit, without the attachment, without the role you were performing, without the version of yourself that was trying to single-handedly hold a fragile world together. In this way, the pain becomes your greatest teacher, not a cruel drill sergeant, but a patient and wise mentor. It forces you to slow down. It invites you to turn your focus inward. It draws your awareness back to your own body, your own breath, your own unshakable truth. And slowly, so very slowly, something else begins to emerge from beneath the ache. A quiet strength, a subtle sense of rightness, a breath that feels deeper and more expansive than before. Not because everything is magically healed, but because something is finally, truly in alignment. This is not a betrayal of the love you once had. It is an alignment with your soul's deepest truth. You are not meant to rush through this phase, Aries. Healing for you is not a race to the finish line. It is a sacred process of reforging your spirit in the fires of your own honesty. There is no spiritual failure in grieving what no longer fits your destiny. There is no lack of faith in needing time to recalibrate your warrior's heart. Faith does not demand instant peace from you. Faith is the unwavering trust in the process that leads you there. The cosmos does not rush the dawn, and an Aries soul was never designed to heal on command. The universe allows the fire to find its own strength, to burn steadily and brightly, and you, my friend, are doing the same. You are learning that endings can be holy, that separation can be a profound act of self-protection, that creating space can be a form of love directed back toward your own magnificent soul. What hurts now is not just the absence of the other person. It is the overwhelming, powerful, and perhaps unfamiliar presence of yourself returning. As you sit with that presence, as you breathe into the sacred quiet that follows the release, another realization will begin to form gently beneath the surface. It will not rush you. It will not demand that you have all the answers yet. It will simply prepare you to look at love and at yourself from a truer, more powerful place, a place where compassion no longer requires you to surrender your crown, and where connection no longer means making yourself small. And from this stronger, steadier ground, a new understanding of love is quietly waiting to be born. A love that matches your fire instead of asking you to extinguish it. There's a subtle moment that arrives long before the final battle, long before the relationship ends. It's a moment so quiet that a fiery, action-oriented Aries might overlook it. Nothing dramatic happens. No lines are drawn in the sand. No ultimatums are given. Instead, your body, your intuitive vessel, begins to speak in a softer language. You wake up feeling a sense of exhaustion that sleep cannot touch. A strange weight settles on your shoulders for no apparent reason. Your breath, the very fuel of your fire, becomes shallow in conversations that once felt expansive and energizing. And still, you call it love. This is where so many Aries warriors begin to feel a deep confusion. Because on the surface, everything appears manageable. You are being patient, you are being strong, you are being the leader who can handle anything. These are the very qualities the world praises in you, the qualities that feel so natural to your spirit. Yet beneath that formidable strength, something essential, something vital, is quietly being drained away. Your body knows it long before your strategic mind is ready to admit defeat. Healthy, aligned love expands your energetic field. It adds fuel to your sacred fire. It gives you more space inside yourself. You breathe more freely. You stand taller. Your light becomes brighter and more magnetic. But self-abandonment, even for a mighty Aries, works in the opposite direction. It contracts your energy. It narrows your vision. It asks you to fold the brilliant, expansive parts of yourself smaller and smaller until you can fit into the confines of someone else's comfort zone. Many people confuse this kind of self-sacrifice with devotion because it looks so noble from the outside. It sounds spiritual. It sounds generous. It sounds like the ultimate act of love. But let me be clear, beautiful soul devotion that requires you to silence your own inner fire is not devotion at all. It is survival disguised as virtue. Aries often learn early in life that their energy can be too much for others. So you learn to adapt, to modulate, to dial down your own intensity so that others do not feel overwhelmed. Over time, this adaptability can become a quiet, unconscious habit of erasing yourself. And your body never ever truly agrees to this arrangement. It may cooperate for a while for the sake of the mission, but it keeps a perfect record in its own language. The fatigue becomes a constant companion. Your natural joy becomes conditional dependent on the mood of another. You notice that you are always on high alert, monitoring the emotional temperature of the room, always adjusting your tone, your needs, your boundless enthusiasm. You become a master at being low maintenance, an expert at being easy to love, a professional at not asking for too much. And yet inside, a fire begins to smolder in a way that cannot be soothed by promises or reassurances. Love, real love, is meant to make you more of who you are, not less. It should never require you to mute your truth or explain away your righteous passion. When a partnership asks you to ignore the signals from your own soul for the sake of harmony, it is slowly teaching your nervous system that your own power is dangerous. This is not love growing deeper. This is your sense of self shrinking quietly, so the relationship can continue without disruption. For you, Aries, this pattern can feel especially disorienting because your leadership is rooted in a deep sense of care. You genuinely want to protect. You genuinely want to lead the way to a better place. You genuinely want to see the best in people and ignite their potential. But a leader without boundaries eventually turns their fire inward, where it becomes self-neglect. And self-neglect always carries a cost, even if it takes years to finally show itself. There is a universe of difference between choosing to lead a partnership and abandoning yourself to it. Choosing someone is an act of presence, of bringing your full, brilliant self to the table. Abandoning yourself is an act of disappearance. At first, the difference is almost invisible. You tell yourself it's a temporary strategy. You tell yourself you are strong enough to handle it. You tell yourself that love requires compromise. But your body does not forget what your soul compromises. Over time, you may notice that you no longer recognize your own intuitive landscape. You feel disconnected from your inner compass. You struggle to even name what you want because you have spent so long prioritizing what would keep the peace or move the mission forward. This is precisely where survival masquerades as love. Survival says, temper your passion so you are not rejected. Survival says, adjust your plans so you are not left behind. Survival says, endure this discomfort so you are still chosen. True love, however, never demands your endurance at the cost of your very essence. Love does not demand that you vanish to make someone else feel powerful. Love does not thrive in the ashes of your silence. The universe never ever teaches its warriors to disappear in order to be loved. This is a monumental truth to sit with, especially for an Aries who often carries a sacred responsibility for the energy and direction of those around them. Divine love does not ask you to suffer quietly so that harmony can be maintained. Divine love invites your truth even when that truth feels disruptive. It invites your passion even when that passion risks causing change. When your body is always tired in a relationship, it is not a personal failing. It is cosmic information. It is a signal that your essential fiery nature has been suppressed for far too long. Fatigue is often the soul's way of saying that the effort to remain acceptable has exceeded the energy you have available to remain alive and vibrant inside yourself. This does not mean you loved wrongly. It means you loved with the full force of your being, without being taught how to protect your own flame while doing so. There is no shame in this realization. Awareness is not an accusation. It is a sacred opening. When you begin to see the difference between authentic love and self-abandonment, something shifts profoundly within you. You may feel grief for the parts of yourself that went quiet. You may feel compassion for the version of you who thought disappearing was the price of connection. And you will also feel a subtle, undeniable sense of relief, as if a battle you didn't even know you were fighting has finally ended. This realization does not ask you to harden your beautiful, passionate heart. It does not ask you to love with less fire. It asks you to love with presence instead of erasure. It asks you to include yourself in the circle of protection you so freely offer to others. It asks you to notice where and when you learned that your own brilliant light needed to be hidden in order for love to stay. As this awareness settles, it creates the space for a different kind of question to arise, one that is quieter, yet more powerful than any fear of loss. It is a question about how love can exist without exhaustion, how connection can feel safe without demanding your silence, and how boundaries might not be walls at all, but the very sacred shape that allows your magnificent fire to breathe. My dear Aries, as you stand at this powerful turning point, this crossroads of your soul's journey, you are being given an incredible opportunity. It's a chance to take everything you've learned from the fire and forge a new way of being, a new way of loving. This day, this moment symbolizes a profound turning point in your personal evolution. The universe is calling you to gather all of your inner courage, to tap into your deepest reserves of strength, and to fearlessly pursue your life's true and most meaningful purpose. The powerful cosmic alignments and the spiritual messages you've been receiving are all pointing toward one incredible reality: your evolution. You are growing, you are transforming, you are rising like a phoenix into the most magnificent version of yourself. The road ahead may not always be easy. Your warrior's path was never meant to be, but it is going to be undeniably rewarding. It is going to be filled with more joy, more authentic love, and more abundance than you could possibly imagine. Courage will be your guiding light in all the days to come as you navigate this new terrain. Stepping into the unknown can feel intimidating even for a brave heart like yours. But remember, beautiful soul, true bravery isn't the absence of fear. It's about feeling the fear, acknowledging its presence, and then choosing to move forward anyway. That is your innate strength. The cosmic energies surrounding you right now are amplifying that strength, giving you everything you need to leave behind what no longer serves your magnificent potential. This is your chance to embrace the things that set your very soul on fire, the things that bring you genuine joy, and the things that lead you closer to your highest purpose. Trust in your inherent abilities, trust in your inner wisdom, and trust that you can handle all the challenges and changes that lie ahead. As you journey forward, it is essential to keep your attention focused on your deeper sense of purpose. What are the dreams and goals that make your heart race? What is it that truly excites you and makes you feel alive? This is the time to reconnect with those deepest desires, those missions that are uniquely yours, and to align your actions, your thoughts, and your intentions to match the frequency of the universe. The cosmos is offering you the tools, the guidance, and the opportunities you need to build a life filled with meaning, purpose, and unwavering joy. But it is ultimately up to you to decide how you will wield them. Stay grounded, my dear Aries, that is the source of your sustainable power, but also keep your heart wide open to the incredible inspiration that is all around you. This balance between your grounded action and your inspired heart is a dynamic you can master. You are fully capable of navigating between the logical and the intuitive, between the physical and the spiritual, between the known and the unknown. This is your superpower. Spiritual evolution is another critical part of this phase. You are not only growing outwardly in your achievements, but you are also elevating inwardly. Your spirit is yearning for this growth, and this entire experience has been a catalyst for that process. This means you are becoming more and more in tune with your inner wisdom, your core values, and your higher self. To support this connection, I encourage you to take time for action that quiets the mind, a powerful one. A focused workout time spent in nature, any practice that helps you nurture this deeper connection to the core of your being. The more aligned you are with your true self, the more clarity, energy, and focus you will have to bring to your external life. The road ahead is yours to shape. Every single decision you make, every step you take, every thought you cultivate brings you closer to the life you've always envisioned, a life that will bring you true fulfillment and unwavering joy. It is so important to celebrate the progress you've made, the battles you've won, and the challenges you've overcome. Stay optimistic about what is still yet to come. This moment is just the beginning of a truly remarkable and transformative journey. Step into it with all of your courage, with all of your purpose, and with an open heart that is ready to receive all of the incredible gifts the universe has in store for you. I would love to hear from you. What part of this message resonated most deeply with your warrior's heart? Share your thoughts and your insights in the comments section below. By sharing our stories, we empower each other and rise together. Thank you for being here, for your courage, and for your magnificent light. Until next time, stay bright.